Not gonna lie, Section 3 nearly broke me with its negativity, subject matter, and inaccuracies. I've been dreading this last section, the denouement, as Dustin calls it, but I've found two things to get excited about. First, there's some real thought and sincerity in these pages, which is refreshing. Second, I've found a ton of stuff while doing research on this book, but I haven't been able to use all of it due to narrative flows and whatnot. It just so happens that all of those things fit within this last section. As a last bit of housekeeping, I admit that I ended the last Behind the Bell video early due to just feeling gross and needing to work on something else. So, I'm going to backtrack just a bit to cover people I've met before officially getting into our last section. This has the subtitle of Who's a Douche in Real Life and Who's Not? Okay, so let's get into some celebrity dirt.
Okay. You're not going to believe who's here.
First up, Gary Coleman. Okay, Dustin says he tried to strike up a friendship with the 80s icon, but Gary was just too jaded from being treated like crap by Hollywood. So, no official verdict.
What you talking about, Willis?
Dustin then mentions hanging out with Jay Leno, even saying that he got to sit in Jay's Ferrari Testarossa. But,
You have no Ferraris. Why?
I just never like dealing with the dealers. I don't want to give a guy 25 grand in an envelope.
I bet you've been dying to know what Emmanuel Lewis from Webster is like. Well, he liked to hang out with Michael Jackson. So, another diminutive black guy with no verdict.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's true.
And now I'm going to take you on a journey to the Hollywood Christmas Parade. The story goes that Dustin shared a limo with a purple-haired Jeremy Jackson and Christian crooner Pat Boone. Apparently Jeremy was all partied out and had a scantily clad date that scared Mr. Boone away. Then Dustin and Jeremy shared a convertible on the parade route where Jeremy passed out and fell asleep on Dustin's shoulder. I probably don't need to tell you this, but you can't find any of this online. But I tried. Jeremy Jackson joined Baywatch in 1991 and played Hobie, Mitch's son. He stayed with the show until it ended in 2003. During that time, Dustin Diamond was with the Saved by the Bell franchise until 2000, so there were a lot of parades to scrub. Neither were part of the 1991 parade, and I could only find Mark-Paul, Tiffany, and Mario as somewhat related attendees in 1992. 1993 gets interesting. It appears that Mario showed up as Tiffany's former boyfriend as she rode in the parade with her current boyfriend, Brian Austin Green. Dustin was also there, but that's not Jeremy Jackson. The person is tagged online as Michael Casnell. I don't know who that is, but this guy gives me Paul Young vibes. Did this guy pass out on Dustin and they just cut it out of the parade? His hair's not purple. I couldn't find any notable appearances for the 94 and 95 parades, but Jeremy shows up in 1996. No, he's not in a convertible, but the Baywatch boat. And he's not with Dustin Diamond, but he is with our very own nurse Jennifer. It's a charmed life you lead, my boy. And that's it! Dennis Haskins makes an appearance in 1999, but I can find nothing else remotely related to Dustin Diamond being in a parade with Jeremy Jackson. Now, you may recall that I noted that Pat Boone was part of Dustin's story. Well, for our years, Pat Boone never appeared. He was, however, part of the 2001 Hollywood Christmas Parade. Dustin would have been done with Saved by the Bell, but this was close to Jeremy's end with Baywatch, in which he has noted having purple hair and being on copious amounts of drugs. So maybe this story happened in 2001, and maybe the broadcast cut it out. Archived footage exists of wrestling diva Chyna, the renegade himself Lorenzo Lamas, and, Michelle Trachtenberg. But nothing of Dustin and Jeremy Jackson. Absent all evidence, here are Dustin's grades. While I didn't find any Dustin Diamond Hollywood Christmas Parade footage, I guess I might as well show you this.
Craig, here comes the Grand Marshals. Dustin Diamond from Saved by the Bell.
And country superstar Juice Newton.
Joe!
Screech!
Oof, I'm going to need to speed this up. He met Billy Crystal and Danny DeVito as they discussed the script for Throw Mama from the Train. No verdict. Dustin supposedly had his picture taken by Shaq during the 1996 NBA All-Star Weekend. Good guy. Buddy Hackett broke some set lights and then bailed, so inferred verdict? Boy band Hanson? No verdict. We're, really spilling the tea here, aren't we, Dustin? What about Jaleel White? He's cool. Dustin saw Jaleel as a similar star, someone pigeonholed into their nerdy, young, on-screen persona.
Did I do that?
Dustin explains how he and Jaleel met on the set of The Monster Squad, but I don't remember this appearance when we covered Dustin's early roles. It turns out there's a very good reason for this. Fred Decker, the director, explains that Dustin was hired for a small role, but it got cut when the rehearsal for the school hallway scene didn't go as planned. Jaleel also didn't make the final cut, as 13 minutes of the movie had to be axed. Despite Dustin not making the film, the song over the end credits has a serendipitous lyric for us.
Gotta stop those creatures, send them back to hell, or there's no tomorrow, no Saved by the Bell.
Dustin also notes that Jaleel White was part of the original pilot for Good Morning Miss Bliss, but my viewers would already know this. Last, and probably least, Kennedy from MTV. Surprise, surprise, did we get anything from this section? Alright, let's finally get to the last section of the book. It doesn't bode well that the first thing Dustin notes about the college years is the Kevin Tucker review, in which he says how gratifying it was to hear Drew Carey, co-star of The Good Life, the NBC sitcom that now airs immediately after Saved, say recently that he hates Saved, that having to follow a show like Saved by the Bell, that's like having to go to the prom with your ugly cousin. I thought I was going to have to save a lot of this section for when I review the college years, but Dustin only tells one story and then rambles about other stuff for 18 pages. The one story, of course, is an unverifiable hit piece on Mark-Paul. At the end of college year episodes, credits would roll over outtakes. Apparently Mark-Paul barged onto a bedroom scene with a condom-like prop and said, "Never fear, Trojan Man is here." Dustin doesn't tell us which episode this was. This does, however, help in transitioning into trashing Mark-Paul for Circus of the Stars. Dustin's story is that the producers wanted him, Mark-Paul, and Mario to do the show. The boys all wanted to do the trapeze, and Mark-Paul started training first, but then he broke his sternum and Dustin got stuck doing a dog show. Here's the real story. Mario was first and did the trapeze in 1989. One of his partners was Jenny Garth, who you may remember as a finalist for the role of Kelly Kapowski. One cool thing about this performance is that Mario initially beefs it, but, like a champ, gets right back up and nails the routine. Mark-Paul had his shot at the program the next year in 1990, but Bro wasn't on the trapeze, but the Russian swing. And it's true that he broke his sternum. He had to sit out for the taping. Jeez. So yeah, when Dustin got his turn in 1993, he was slated to do the dog tricks. I can imagine his disappointment, but he's a skinny little dude. What, did he truly expect to be able to climb a tall pole with no protective gear and do some balancing and control his dangling through sheer tyranny of will and then induce my stomach to lurch from a massive swing? Please, that's Mario's job in the 1994 show. Continuing to ignore the college years, but sticking with injuries, Dustin tells us why he had to wear an eye patch in that one new class episode. Again, the story goes that Dustin was in a band that was opening for NoFX at a UC Santa Barbara gig. Of course, we get no date for the show, and NoFX has played there so many times that it's impossible to tell what band Dustin may have been in. Long story short, a bottle hit his eye, and that's why he had to wear an eye patch in that one new class episode. You know, That famous eye patch episode? Truth be told, he doesn't give us any details as to the episode or season, and I can't find any information about this on the internets. So I guess this segment just gets reduced to a "Hello, Natalia Sigliuti." Honestly, if you know what episode he's talking about here, feel free to post it in the comments.
You lied? About everything?
Dustin then devotes some of this college years section to discuss Wedding in Las Vegas, but I'll save that portion for when I cover the movie. So let's see, what else does Dustin cover in here? Oh yeah, Tori Spelling's negative boobs. Why not? I've always maintained that Screech and Violet were the real Bayside power couple. It was a shame we didn't get more of the Violet Biggerstaff character. It's also a shame that Dustin felt the need to rag on a then underage girl and her developing body. Tori got a lot of crap like this in her early years.
Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
The new class began production while Dustin was doing the college years. As the college years stumbled to its cancellation, Dustin wondered what the future held for an actor who had only played a doofus on one TV show. And then, he begrudgingly, but also somewhat gratefully, joined the new class cast in season 2. He admits that his character got out of hand, but this was all by design. Dustin knew his Screech run couldn't last forever, so he tried to be as grating and annoying as possible to help future casting directors be able to separate the Screech from the dust. Having Casey Kasem as a contact was a dream come true for Dustin, as Mr. Kasem voiced one of Dustin's favorite cartoon characters.
These ladders can hold a lot of weight. Zoinks! But not that much weight.
As Saved by the Bell was winding down, Dustin began meeting with Mr. Kasem to learn the vocal stylings of one Norville Shaggy Rogers. Dustin then consulted with his friend Wally Wingert, who was just ramping up what would soon be a massive career in voice acting. Side note, Wally would later appear in an episode of the new class. But hold up, Screech goes Chet Hanks and works in a soft serve shop?
We toil part-time at your Cold Stone Creamery.
Okay, back to Wally Wingert. This episode also has epic Screech moves? Who's he even trying to impress?
Screech, I'd like to get to know the real you.
What? You're telling me that Screech lives in a world where he had legitimate shots at both Kelly Kapowski and the Pink Power Ranger? My brain! It's broken!
Wally Wingert. He got Dustin in contact with Araj Paran, an illustration director at Hanna-Barbera, who in turn introduced Dustin to Joseph Barbera. With everyone on board, a booklet was made showcasing Dustin's fit as the Shaggy character. He tried every angle, but no one seemed interested. Until Mike Myers wrote a script. That script didn't work out, but then Dustin heard that Kevin Bacon was interested in playing a live-action Shaggy, but then so was Jim Carrey. Knowing he couldn't compete, he gave up and hated the final casting for the 2002 movie.
Oh, we don't go near any place with spooky, haunted, forbidden, or creepy in the name.
There's a bit of salt in the wound. Rowan Atkinson, one of Dustin's comedy idols, was also in the film. You know, I don't care what Dustin says. Something tells me I should probably watch these movies. In another vein, I do care what Dustin says, because I think his timeline is off again.
Really?
Well, why would I make up something like that?
Yeah, with continued sloppiness, I'm starting to buy more into the ghostwriter excuse. With this timeline, Dustin makes it seem like he was the catalyst that got the live-action Scooby-Doo movie going. However, another page from his spec book shows that he was 20 years old, which means his presentation was put together in 1997. Do you know what existed before that? A 1996 script written by Craig Titley. Jim Carrey was briefly attached to that project. Mike Myers had a new script done in 1998, And this comment from 1999 puts Kevin Bacon somewhere close to Dustin's lobbying. James Gunn then wrote an R-rated script in 1999, and Rhys Ifans was rumored to be Shaggy. After some rewrites, the movie finally came out in 2002 with Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. Dustin would have made a fantastic live-action cartoon Shaggy, but it doesn't seem like he was anywhere near landing this role. When the new class ended, Dustin turned his sights to stand-up comedy. For a while, he worked at the National Association for Campus Activities, where he sometimes ran into Dennis Haskins. It could get kind of awkward, as Dennis was more of a motivational speaker, and, well, Dustin had a show that I can't really share here. This After the Bell section is short, but it classically throws in a random tidbit. As a teenager, Dustin took martial arts. During this time, he made some videos called A Boy and His Tippy, where he plays a ninja avenging the harm done to his turtle. The videos are amateurish, absurd, genuinely funny, and a good showcase of his talents performing. I've linked the videos in the description. As crazy and salacious as the book tries to be, this section and the epilogue are pretty sober. He laments that child actors are often disadvantaged, as parents can mismanage your money without any consequences, and Hollywood can just chuck you aside once your likableness has been drained. Dustin especially harps on his father, who allegedly wasted Dustin's money and played video games with crew members while Dustin worked. He makes 2 points perfectly clear at the end. First off, reality TV is fake and scripted. His turn as heel was completely fabricated for ratings. I'll cover his reality TV stuff in a later video, I'm sure. The second, he eventually came to peace with his career, noting that people couldn't separate him from his character. One specific example is the Saturday Night Live sketch where Tobey Maguire is supposed to be Dustin Diamond, but is clearly channeling just Screech.
What is your favorite curse word?
Frosted nuts?
Nicely done.
There's a lot of commentary out there about how the book is a formatting nightmare. While it's true that there are some grammar flubs, some interesting paragraph breaks, and one whole repeated yet rewritten paragraph, I mean, it kind of tracks for the quality of the contents of this book. Which brings us to, as a fan, should you get this book? Well, if you want facts to impress your friends and super hot takes, then no. No, these videos have shown that this book is just not that. But if you want a catalyst to get into the mind of the man who was a boy who played Screech, no, not for that reason either. This is not a good book, and Dustin knew it. Regardless, we will be revisiting it in the future.